Ha, esal lısın.
Esaltinem.
Ha. Ահա, դուք ինձ լսում եք նորմալ։
Բարձրացու։ Կարող ենք բարձրացնել։
Հեսա կասեմ։ Ժող կարաք մի քիչ ձայնը բարձրացնեք։ Լավ է սենց։ Թե շատ
Ավելի լավ։ Բայց միայն մեկ մասեն գոքալիս։
Հա, մոնո է։
Այդպես։
Մի քիչ որ ցածրացնեք, շատ բարձրացրեցիք։
Ցայնը, այ։ Իմ ցայնս
շատ լավ է։ Մի քիչ է որ մոտիկ բերեք միկրոֆոնը։ Տենց ահա, շատ լավ է։ Դրսից աղմուկը քիչ կլինի, հա։ Դիանալի է։ Ինչպես եք։
Ռաշալի։
Երբ եք եկել Հայաստան։
Գիրագի օր հասել էի։ Ուշ։
Մի շաբաթ աստեղ եք։
Մի շաբաթ աստեղ եւ երկու շաբթի գիշեր պիտի մեկնեմ։
Հա, վաղ արդեն մեկնում եք։ Բայց այս վերջի երկու ամսվա մեջ արդեն երկրորդ անգամն եք գալիս։
Այո։
Հա։
Երկրորդ անգամ այսինքն ինչ։
Որ Հայաստանում եք։
Այս տարի։
Հա։
4-րդ։
Շատ լավ է։
Եվ նոյեմբերի նորեն պիտի վերադառնամ։
Հա։
Եվ ընդհանրապես աստեն Հայաստան 4-6 անգամ գուկամ։ Կովիդեն առաջ 6-8 անգամ գուկայի, հանգեվեջ մի քիչ տանտաղեցավ։
Հասկացա։ Մենք երբ ենք լայվ գնալու կասեք։ Լայվ ենք արդեն։
Անգլերեն պիտի խոսենք։
Հայերեն, եթե ձեզ հարմար է։
Անգլերեն խոսենք։
Անգլերեն։ Okay։
Որովհետև բացառածները շատ տեխնիկական բիդլան։ Եվ հայերեն բարերը քիչ արդեն այնքան շատ զարգացած չեն դժվար գլան։
Հասկացա, ոնց ձեզ հարմար է։ Բարև բոլորին, մենք հիմա գտնում ենք WCIT-ում, Team Telecom-ի տաղարում, որ WCIT-ի գլխավոր տեխնոլոգիական գործընկերն է։ Այսօր զրուցելու ենք Գարոյի հետ, ով որ COAF-ի co-founder-ն է եւ շատ մեծ public ընկերություն ունի ԱՄՆ-ում, որը զբաղվում է բժշկությունից, հենց դրա մասին այսօր կխոսենք։ Գարո ջան, ինչպես եք։
Շնորհակալություն։ Ընկերությունը անկան մեծ չէ դակավին, բայց ուսանք միդլադի։ Ուսանք որ Տեսլայի նման մեծ ընկերություն, արժեքավոր ընկերություն գիտել։
Մենք էլ նույնպես ուսանք տենց կլինի, բայց շատ քիչ ընկերություններից մեկն է, որ հիմնադիրը հայ է եւ ինքը Նյու Յորքի բորսայում բաց վաճառք է։ Մենք է շուտով կառնենք ակցիաներ։ Okay, let's switch to English because you said it will be easier for you. And the first question that I would like to discuss with you, like what is the role of AI in modern medicine? And are you actually using it? And if you are using it, how you are using it?
So there are two areas where AI could be immediately useful. One is the complicated aspects of biological molecular design, because as you go from small molecules to biologics, the molecules get more sophisticated and they become three-dimensional. And so as they become three-dimensional, the structure-function relationships become critically important. Biology is a complicated reality.
Yeah.
And it's not just the molecular sequence of the atoms and other aspects that matter, but it is the spatial arrangement of these atoms that become important. So we use AI to come up with much more sophisticated molecules in order to drive desired function. So how do you dial a desirable function into a molecule and let the AI programs come up with the best structure? So that's one piece of it. The second piece of AI is understanding how and why each patient may react to certain treatments, because biologically we are all unique species.
Yeah.
Every single person is unique. And so how do we then use AI to understand the biological function of the molecule as it relates to a particular person's ability to come up with a treatment effect.
So as I understand, the future medicine will be like very, how to say it?
Individualized?
Individualized,
yes.
yeah. For example, like my YouTube feed and your YouTube feed or social media feeds are totally different.
Yes.
But my body is different from you, but if we are getting the same disease, which is probably like very different from each other, even if they call the same.
Yes.
The medicine will be the same, but our bodies will react differently.
That's right.
So AI will help to make it more individual.
That's true. There are certain aspects of our bodies that are similar. For example, it takes energy, literally energy, to be able to activate the immune system. So the requirement for energy to activate the immune system is similar amongst people, although...
Yeah, we take food.
Yeah, I mean, although some of us have naturally the propensity to have more energy or acquire more energy than others, but energy requirement is sort of common. But how we react to things. For example, take cancer.
Yeah.
My business is primarily cancer. How do we treat cancer? Well, we can treat cancer by weakening the disease. That's one way of doing it. Or we can do it by strengthening the immune system. Or we can do both. We can weaken the disease while we're strengthening the immune system.
And how to do it?
Well, okay. So that's the big question. How do we do it? Weakening the cancer can be done. The simple methodology historically has been surgery. So if you take the bulk of the cancer out through surgery, certainly you have less of the cancer to fight. However, as the disease is more advanced, for example, as you go from stage 1 to stage 2, stage 3, stage 4 disease, cancer becomes metastatic.
So it's everywhere in the body.
It's everywhere. So when it gets to be everywhere, surgery alone would not do the trick. So you need more. And of course, historically, chemotherapy has been one way of weakening the cancer. But
it also kills the healthy cells.
That's right. It also kills healthy cells, and that's the problem.
Yeah.
That's the problem, and that's one of the reasons why, if we use, for example, if we need to use chemotherapy, and we can use it in conjunction with immunotherapy, chemotherapy can perhaps be used in smaller amounts, and immunotherapy will be able to get it over the hump in terms of the body's functionality to defeat that cancer.
Oh, okay.
And that's part of what we do, although our primary objective is to use chemotherapy as little as possible and to use immunotherapy as much as possible, because immunotherapy generally doesn't have long-term toxicity, whereas chemotherapy does.
Okay, it's clear. So, like, I was reading a book where the author was talking about like 4 horsemen, which the 4 main factors why we die: cancer, diabetes, Parkinson, and also Alzheimer's and heart disease, cardiological diseases. And one of the points he was arguing that if you are physically strong, physically fit, and if you are like have a balanced diet, all that things can like improve your condition even if you are getting cancer.
Right.
Is he or is the author right about it, and how food and like physical condition, how fit you are, can help to fight the disease?
Absolutely right. I mean, I agree with everything in that theory, but how do we translate theory to practice?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Okay. So, for example, nobody can argue with the fact that eating healthy and eating less is beneficial for your body and for your mind. But unfortunately, in the modern world, humans are under constant stress. And stress, unfortunately, induces humans to the destructive things. For example,
Fast food.
we overeat, we eat bad foods, and that becomes a problem. And of course, it is ideally my desire to train and educate every single human being so that they lead a healthy lifestyle. And this is indeed what we do with Children of Armenia Fund, COAF. We teach children at a young age how to lead healthy lifestyles.
Wow, that's important.
It's very important. And it's not about treatment only, of course.
Prevention is more important,
Absolutely.
probably.
I
But
mean-
it's like not. It's hard to measure.
It's hard to measure, but it all starts with the pursuance of healthy lifestyles, which means, as you said earlier, eating healthy foods, exercising so your body is in condition to be able to fight things when you need to, like, for example, diseases, and when you are sick, to have the best treatment options available. And what this fellow was saying is that indirectly or directly, the immune system is the ideal way to fight disease, because all of the diseases you cited, diabetes, cancer, infectious diseases, Parkinson's, cardiovascular disease, they have one thing in common. And that one thing in common is the immune system.
Weak immune system.
Either weak or too strong an immune system. Sometimes, so the immune system is a very fine balance, and you need to make sure that that balance is maintained. For example, if your immune system is over stimulated, it can get confused and start generating inflammation to fight your own healthy tissue.
Like IBD or psoriasis.
Diabetes is one of them. Cirrhosis is another, of course. So that fine balance can be maintained in a healthy body. And when that fine balance is not maintained, then we can resort to biological means of modulating the immune system so that the immune system can be utilized in the treatment of disease, which means that in cancer, we have to activate the immune system just enough to be able to fight the cancer. In something like autoimmune diseases, we have to down-regulate the immune system just enough so that that disease doesn't form. So all of this is, as they say, wonderful science, and wonderful science is also driven by, in the future at least, wonderful science will be augmented, helped by artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
I mean, the beauty of artificial intelligence is that we can get to knowledge faster and we can find solutions faster. And that's the beauty of AI.
Yeah, I got it. Like a couple of days ago, I was reading that obesity rate in US started to go down the first time in like 30 or 40 years. And one of the reasons was Ozempic. Not because people like started to eat healthy, but there is a medicine in the market that can regulate your appetite and you are not eating as much as you do. What do you think? Like, it is the future of humanity, not to be more healthy, but find more drugs that can make you healthy or can regulate your appetite or your motivation and anything like that.
So you make a very important point, because generally it's best to resort to natural interventions. Okay. I mean, one of the reasons at Agenus we have developed molecules to essentially cure cancer or make patients live longer and have better quality of life than traditional chemotherapy or radiation or even targeted therapy is, of course, when somebody gets sick and you need to intervene immediately, it's a crisis management. You cannot dial the time back and say, please go back and lead a healthy life.
Yeah.
It's too late for that. So our job at Agenus is that when it's too late, we would like to offer the best treatment option for patients. However, when a healthy patient, like for example, you're talking about Ozempic. Ozempic is used mostly now in the context of appetite suppression in healthy individuals. And so
Mostly, yes.
Mostly healthy
because
individuals,
like
right?
people who have like maybe 10 pounds more than they want
that's
to
right.
have,
That's right.
or like 50, but it's still
Absolutely. So in those individuals, is it better to educate these individuals so they can resort to healthy lifestyles by natural means than by chemical means? The answer is, of course it is.
yeah, but with like modern marketing tools, modern food industry, for a lot of individuals, it's like almost impossible. Because of their like schedule, lifestyle, there are like a lot of things that can distract you from eating healthy or exercising, and that's why maybe that kind of interventions by companies like Ozempic are becoming so popular.
As a last resort, I would agree with you, but why would we drive things to make this a last resort? I mean, that's again, at COAF, we're trying to educate children at an early age so that they know what is in their best interest as they grow up and lead their lives.
Yeah, and they are
So I'm not disagreeing with you that if you need to use Ozempic as a last-minute intervention, yes, of course. But isn't it better for us to teach them at a young age so that they can be educated about the basic tenets of a healthy lifestyle so that they would not need these types of interventions?
I totally agree with you, and probably one of the reasons people are becoming obese or have like bad diet, because from school lunch they starting to eat fast food.
Yes. Yes.
Like I know it's a big problem in US and in Armenia also that in a school you cannot find healthy food.
You know.
And I'm really happy that COAF is changing that tendency.
Thank you. I mean, what you say is true because, you know, you think about United States as one of the most advanced countries in some ways. But it is true that, for example, when my older son got accepted to Johns Hopkins in Baltimore, which is one of the leading medical institutions
In a world.
when he got accepted to undergrad, and so on orientation day, I got exposed to their cafeteria. You would expect that a leading institution in medicine would normally be predisposed to serving healthy food. I was shocked at the horrible food that Johns Hopkins cafeteria was serving. So there's a disconnect between what we're trying to accomplish with better health care, with intervention, and our disconnect with not teaching children and young people, young adults, in their early lives by providing them junk food in the cafeteria. So that's why all of these things need to be corrected, no question about it.
Oh, yeah, you're totally right about that. And so my next question will be, why did you start the COAF? And where the idea came from, how you decided to start it, and what is the motivation continuously investing in that project?
Okay, so we can spend a few hours on this subject, but I'll make it short. So the reason we started COAF is because we happened to go to a village. It was recommended that we went to this village because the conditions were quite dire. The village was in Armavir Mars. It was Karakert, a village of about 4,000 people. So when we first visited this village in the summer of 2003, the conditions were deplorable, absolutely deplorable. What does that mean? Infrastructure was broken. The schools looked like a war zone school. There was no clean water. The water had to be shipped in from other places like Tallinn. And so when we spoke to a few of the locals, it became clear to us that unless there was an intervention, a quick intervention, that the future of the children in this village would be very, very sad and hopeless. So we decided to do something about it. And we were not an experienced organization, and we of course started with the basics. We thought that the school renovation would be the very first step. That's what we did. And then when we went to visit the renovated school, we found out that their bathrooms were locked and the school was shut down at around 2 o'clock in the afternoon after all the renovation
Why
that went
so?
into. Interesting, why so? So I called the principal and I said, why are the bathrooms locked? He said, so that they wouldn't get dirty. And can you imagine the level of ignorance, okay? And I said, why is the school locked at 2 o'clock? Because it's a beautiful facility. He said, well, the same reason, so that the school doesn't get dirty. So then we worked on changing the mentality. And that meant we had to teach those that were running the system what is the best way of running the system. We taught them. And of course, they accepted. And we started after-school programs, so the school would be a functionally utilizable structure for them, and that was very successful. And then next thing we noticed were the children were unhealthy. They had unhealthy habits, dental hygiene, infection, skin diseases, and so on. So we came to the conclusion that it would be difficult for unhealthy children to go to school and learn things. So we established the medical system in Karaker because the existing system was very poor, poorly managed, and that was successful. The next thing was parents and some of the children started complaining about psychosocial issues. There was abuse at home, abuse of children in school. So we started our psychosocial programs. And so if you combine all of this, you say, we were a needs-based organization. We were addressing the needs of the children and the community. And it was a needs-based organization for two reasons. One, there was nobody else doing it. At that time, the government wasn't doing it. And no other organization was attending to these things. In fact, one of our associates from the U.S., shortly after we formed COAF, said, why do you need another organization? There's so many Armenian organizations out there.
Yeah, it's a good question.
Okay. And the reason was, none of the existing so many organizations were doing what people in the villages needed. That's the reason we started it. If there was another organization...
They were not addressing the real needs.
Nothing. There was nothing being addressed. And of course, my lifestyle hasn't been the same since I started COAF. And the same thing is true of my wife's lifestyle. We worked very hard for COAF to make sure that the future of our children is filled with hope and resourcefulness. And that takes a lot of effort. A lot of organizations are populated by people who just give money. And of course, money is important. But money alone doesn't get the job done properly. And that's why we give money and we raise money, but most importantly, we actively manage COAF so that things are done right. And that
makes sense.
is the unique attributes of COAF.
Clear. Thank you for that. And what is the vision of COAF?
I think that's an evolving reality. The vision of COAF is to make sure that our next generation is able to sustain a future so that a COAF will not be needed in the future.
Wow.
Until we achieve that objective, we will work hard to make sure that our young children have hope and are resourced properly to be able to take advantage of their environment and build a future that they deserve, their families deserve, their communities deserve, and their country deserves. And that is the beautiful, noble vision of COAF, actually, for the time being. And it's important that we realize amongst the average individuals, there are pockets of brilliance. And unless we make sure that we identify those pockets of brilliance and properly resource them, we will be depriving our country and our people of capabilities that those pockets of brilliance can achieve.
Yeah, opportunities and a lot of beautiful things that can come.
That's right. That's right.
And because we're in WCIT and people mainly talk about technology here, what do you think? How technology will change COAF, and how technology can change the society or the culture that we have right now in Armenia or in the world, if we look broader?
We touched upon this a little bit, but not in the kind of depth that you are addressing here. In the panel discussion between Nubar, myself, and Richard Quest, we touched on this subject a little bit. Okay, so what will technology do? I'm an avid user of AI, and I don't consider myself a technologist, but I'm a consumer of technology. Why? Because technology allows me, even before AI, technology allows me to be able to do things faster, to acquire, what does that mean? To acquire information faster, okay? Even before AI, you know, search engines
Google
allowed us
one of the best to
acquire information faster, okay? But Google allows you to acquire information faster somewhat stupidly. I mean, when I say somewhat stupidly, of course...
it's interesting. What do you mean by that?
Compared to AI, Google overloads you with information, but doesn't help you with processing of that information.
Yeah, it's not synthesizing it
That's
for
right.
you.
That's right. So I'm not criticizing Google. I mean, it's been a fantastic instrument for us in the last 25 years or so. But now we have AI. So AI allows us to acquire information that is more intelligent, more targeted, more discriminatory, more specific. That's number one. But the beauty of AI is that it also helps us processing that information properly. Of course, you know, you can't ask one question to, let's say, ChatGPT or Claude AI and expect all the answers to be perfect. So, in fact, I have many discussion sessions with AI. I interrogate it. I criticize it. I push it harder. I make sure that the answers are not just appropriate for me, but as objectively obtained and processed as possible. And so what does all of this mean in the context of what you're talking, COAF, and my business in the context of Agenus? We can speed these things up, I can get a lot more done, a lot faster than I would be able to do without technology. And some may criticize that and say, well, that's not in harmony with nature. Well, I say, we are the nature, and our creation is nature. So to the extent that AI is a creation of our minds and our capabilities, I look at AI as a natural extension. Absolutely.
That's the interesting way to look at it. So basically it will increase our productivity.
No question about it.
So it will give we will be able to generate more GDP and all that kind of stuff. But also there is a risk that if I'm becoming 2 times more productive with ChatGPT, then someone else who was doing the same job as I am is going to lose a job because I'm doing it more productive.
You're absolutely right, and it's I tell my family, my children, and my team members at Agenus and COAF that if they don't use AI, their jobs will be obsoleted in the not too distant future.
Like 5, 10 years?
Like next 12 months.
Really?
Absolutely.
Wow.
Absolutely.
Wow.
So everybody must use AI, otherwise they won't be as productive as we need them to be.
So what your advice be to like young professionals, engineers or students who are like listening to us and thinking about their goals and what they want to do in their life, especially right now when like we are pivoting somewhere we don't understand?
Okay, so when you say something that we don't understand, do you mean AI or?
I mean AI technology, because like we understand that something big is happening right now and it's like accelerating everything,
Sure.
as you mentioned, but most of us do not understand where it will take us.
Sure.
And for a lot of people it's scary because it's uncertainty, maybe a good one, but it's uncertainty.
Of course. So I took some Russian lessons just because I used to frequent Armenia, come to Armenia before COVID 6 to 8 times a year, and post-COVID it became 4, 5, 6 times a year, and I hope that will increase that. So I started taking some Russian lessons just for the hell of it. And one of the things that stuck with me is a Russian saying, and my pronunciation may not be perfect, but I'll say it anyway. Повторение мати учения. And
Almost perfect.
almost perfect. So my suggestion is that in order, this is true with anything, if you practice sports to get proficient in sports, you have to keep on practicing it. That's
sure.
what I used to say to my children. Same thing is with languages. If you take language lessons and then stop practicing it like I did with Russian, you forget it, right? And with AI, if you don't constantly use it, if you don't make AI as an integral part of your daily life, I exercise practically every day. Why? Because that's important for the body.
For sure.
And with AI, you must practice it every day. Otherwise, you will not be able to perfect its use. I'm learning every day with, quirks of AI that I didn't know the day before. And that only comes in with repeated use. So I'm using it every day, not once, not twice, multiple times. Just here, a little while ago, I was asking a question of ChatGPT, and one of your colleagues said, why don't you use Claude AI for this, because Claude AI has a better Armenian translation.
Yeah,
And so
yes.
I had used Claude AI for a while, along with ChatGPT, and then it got to be a little fuzzy. It wasn't delivering proper answers, not because of the answers I wanted, but it wasn't as proficient. So I dropped it. Right immediately here, I put it back into my apps page. So I think we need to make sure that collectively we challenge ourselves. Now, yesterday we referred to a couple of interesting points. Now, just like internet, when internet first came about in the 90s, at that time I knew very little about it, people started saying internet is going to be used for bad things. It's going to be used for crime. It's going to be used for pornography. And so it's not a good thing. And of course, it was used for crime and pornography, but the good uses of internet overwhelmed the bad uses of internet. Okay?
Yeah.
And when cryptocurrencies came about, Bitcoin, anytime something new comes about, people always shy away from its use and get nervous. So when cryptocurrency came about, people said the same thing, that cryptocurrency is going to be used for laundering of money and laundering of drugs and stuff like that. And of course, I'm sure it's used for that. But the good uses of cryptocurrency overwhelm the bad uses. Now, with AI, I'm sure the same thing will happen. And because of the good parts of humanity overwhelming the bad parts of humanity, I think at the end the balance will shift in favor of the good because I fundamentally believe that people are good rather than bad. Of course, there are some bad people there, but I think that people are going to be using AI for better purposes to bring the kinds of things that you're talking about,
Yeah.
more efficiency, more good outcomes than bad outcomes. And of course, we're trying to chase the fly away. I'm hopeful that AI is going to come up with an piece of equipment that will chase the flies away automatically.
And they will not interrupt us.
Yeah.
Garo, thank you very much for this talk. You gave a lot of very insightful information, and thank you very much for the job that you are doing with COAF, because I think it's extremely important for our country. Thank you.
Thank you very much.